If you had asked us what the most fun to drive Tata Altroz was, we would have said diesel. We were waiting for the turbocharged petrol Altroz and it's finally here. It's called the iTurbo. It gets a 1.2 litre 3-cylinder from the Nexon. It's just been tweaked a little bit to suit this car, its weight characteristics and the 5-speed gearbox that's in it. The Altroz also gets a few feature upgrades for 2021, just make it a little more competitive. But the question still remains, which one's the most fun to drive Tata Altroz? Could it be this? We're going to find out. But first, what's new? For one, the color Marina Blue is available on the Altroz and is quite similar to the Tectonic Blue on the Nexon. Of course, it's similarly eye-catching. A small iTurbo badge on the hatch is your only way of telling the turbo model apart. Inside, the cabin is now black and grey and top variants get leatherette seats with Tata's new signature white pattern in them. The 7-inch infotainment screen can now show personalized wallpapers and boasts connected features including the novel What 3 Words functionality and voice commands spanning Hindi and English.
Reduce the AC.
Sure, decreasing AC to 22.
Turbo variants get an extra 2 tweeters making for a total of 8 speakers, and the audio by Harman is all the clearer for it. Also, an express cool feature is handy for hot days, automatically cranking the blower speed and lowering the windows till the desired temperature is reached. As before, the Altroz is spacious and pretty well thought out, with touches like the large 50-litre cooled glove box being a standout. The iTurbo's new upholstery actually makes it look and feel quite premium and everything feels just a little nicer, though Tata says they haven't changed the materials. Wireless charging would have been appreciated considering the direction everyone's headed, but since we already know what the rest of the car is like, let's jump straight into the biggest change. The 1.2-litre 3-cylinder Revertron petrol engine is now boosted. It's the same engine that's on the Nexon but detuned from 120 PS and 170 Nm to match the torque limits of the 5-speed manual gearbox. There is the hope that the dual-clutch transmission to come will offer more torque at least. Still, with 28% more power and 24% more torque, with only a 39 kg increase in curb weight, the Altroz iTurbo's power to weight is a competitive 102 PS a ton, similar to other turbo petrols like the Hyundai i20 and VW Polo. It's also considerably higher than that of the other Altroz powertrains available. Does that spell more fun? While the turbo petrol doesn't quite have the raw torque that the diesel has, they have fixed the fueling, so it's got much sharper throttle response even in the city mode. Of course, the trick is the addition of
Sport drive mode activated,
which actually gives you even better throttle response and apparently 25 to 30% more torque. So you're actually getting all your big torque in the sport mode. This in conjunction with the really nice chassis and suspension setup that we know the Altroz to have. They haven't messed with that part in any way. So it continues to be nice and sure-footed. Along with the inclusion of the sport mode, the fueling has been worked on. So it feels a lot less snatchy on off throttle, which is something that we have felt with the other Altroz variants. Now we couldn't get close to the claimed 11.9 second 0 to 100 kmph run, but the iTurbo's 12.7 second timing does make it marginally quicker than the diesel Altroz. So while it's hugely improved, you still may find a little bit of that jerkiness, especially at low speeds, especially if you're in sport mode. If you're going to be driving around in traffic, I'd say
city drive mode activated.
That should be your choice. Sure, may dull the throttle response, but it actually makes it a lot easier to drive in bumper-to-bumper traffic. While the Altroz does have displacement on its side, it's not got the highest torque rating, though its power rating is pretty comparable for the class, right up there in fact. But that torque does make its absence felt especially when you're at lower speeds, you can feel the engine pick up only post 3000 RPM. So considering it's a very linear torque curve, Tata tells us they try to make it as flat as possible. So you don't really feel any turbo lag, but you do have to wait for it actually really come in and make you feel like you're building pace. That being said, the higher displacement does seem to count in the efficiency stakes, with a decent 15 kmpl in the city and an impressive 24 kmpl out on the highway. The steering similarly, it's got that typical Tata heft to it, so very confidence inspiring, not the most talkative, but it's precise enough, and it lets you point the Altroz into a corner very, very confidently. Tata actually tells us the steering software has been tweaked for better returnability, which may be contributing to the tighter, more precise feel we experience. Another highlight of the Altroz has always been its ride quality. While the body movements are well controlled, it's still pliant enough to take on a lot of this bad stuff. So mid-corner bumps, not an issue. Car does not get upset. The turbo powertrain is available on the top 3 variants of the Altroz, and for an expected price premium of Rs 75,000 or so, it does give you the power and performance you'd expect from a premium hatchback, though absolute low-end performance isn't the greatest, though it's still better than the naturally aspirated petrol. Just for the improvements in the throttle smoothness, we'd recommend this over the diesel Altroz as well. For now, this is the Altroz to have, at least for someone looking for a little more than just point A to point B transport.